Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Welcome back to the penultimate pre-season predictions video, and today is McLaren Renault. So of course, McLaren making a massive change for this year, going to the Renault power unit. They've struggled with the Honda power unit for 3 years. They gave up on that project, and now they're going to sort of, I'd say, phase 2 of the new era of McLaren. So it's going to be a very, very interesting season for them, in my opinion. There's only one way for them, and that's up. Unless they finish last place in the championship, then they're not getting worse than they were last year, and they were pretty bad last year. The only team they beat were a team that had a 2016 power unit and a very, very small budget. So I think, yeah, they can be very embarrassed after last year, and hopefully this season will be much better. But anyway, let's talk about their two drivers and see where I think they might finish this year in Formula 1. So let's start off with the number one driver, I suppose you'd say, in the team, Fernando Alonso. So he's probably one of the biggest reasons why they abandoned the Honda project, because they did not want to let Fernando Alonso down. They wanted to keep him in the team for another couple of seasons, possibly. But yeah, so Fernando Alonso going into this season, I'm recording this on the second day of pre-season testing, and of course he crashed on the first day of pre-season testing, and Honda completed loads of laps. So yeah, probably a bit bittersweet in a way, but we assume that the Renault power unit will be better than the Honda power unit this year. It's just pre-season testing, but the Honda definitely does look more reliable, which is quite a funny thing. But Fernando Alonso, what his sort of aims for this season, in my opinion? Well, I feel like he's got to be sort of battling inside the top 10 once again. I feel like if the car is there, of course Fernando Alonso is going to be there. He's one of the best, if not the best, Formula 1 driver on the grid right now, and he has been up the top of the F1 order pretty much since he started in Formula 1 way back in the early 2000s. He's always been right up there, and pretty much whatever team he's been in, he's sort of been battling for at least a podium here and there. And the last couple of years have probably been some of his worst years in Formula 1, and that's just down to the car being absolutely terrible. So Fernando Alonso, I feel like he's going to have a much better season this year. I feel like there's a possibility he could get a podium this year. I mean, I know I was talking in the podcast, I think John T predicted Alonso might get a victory this year. So who knows, or McLaren might get a victory this year. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one. I don't personally feel that Alonso will be getting a victory this year. I mean, fingers crossed, I hope it does happen. That would be fantastic for Formula 1 if he comes back and gets a victory this year. But I feel like maybe McLaren have got a bit more of a learning curve, or a bit more of a development curve to sort of be able to get onto that level. But Fernando Alonso, one of the best drivers on the grid, as we've said. I feel like there's a high likelihood he'll be battling for possibly top 5s now and again, if the car is there. I mean, it looks like the car is quick, which is a good thing for them, and the power unit is good as well. Like Renault have proved that in pre-season testing so far. It's quite quick in a straight line, and maybe not quite as quick as the Ferrari, which seems to be out on top, but it seems to be okay, the Renault power unit so far. So I feel like Alonso is going to be definitely finishing the top 10 in the championship. For me personally, I put him to finish P7 in the championship. So in a way, best of the rest, because you've got the big three teams, obviously, with Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull. They're going to probably be the top 3 teams in this season. But then there's the battle behind. Who's going to be the 4th best car? I've been talking about this in the rest of the pre-season videos. Nobody's really sure. Most of us think it's going to be possibly McLaren, Renault, Force India and Williams, and then there's the other cars that could possibly make it in there, like Haas as well. They could possibly make it into the midfield. But yeah, I feel like Alonso's going to have a good season. I feel like there's a chance of some podiums. I think there's going to be quite a few top 5 finishes this year, when other people undoubtedly make errors in front of him. Alonso is he's a very, very wily character. He knows what he's doing, and I feel like as long as he keeps the car on track, I think he'll be scoring some decent points this season, and possibly a podium. I'd love to see him back on the podium. That'd be absolutely fantastic for Formula 1 and the world. So next up, his teammate Stoffel Vandoorne. Now Vandoorne didn't have a particularly bad first season in Formula 1, or first full season in Formula 1. But he didn't have a particularly sort of standout one. I mean, it's quite hard when your teammate's Fernando Alonso to sort of stand out against him. It's going to be pretty much impossible unless you're the second coming in a way. You're never going to be able to stand up against Alonso and sort of prove that you're beating, by beating him every race. That's the only way you can sort of prove that you're one of the best drivers in the world. But I think Vandoorne had a pretty solid first season, scored some pretty good points. I don't feel like he had quite as many retirements or mechanical problems as Alonso throughout the season, but I don't know if that's just the media playing that sort of light on it. But He scored less points than Alonso, which was to be expected, but I think for this season he's got to step it up. And I think especially in qualifying, remember correctly, he got out-qualified by Alonso many times last year, and that was a very weak point of Vandoorne. So I feel if he secures better positions on the grid, it's going to definitely help him throughout the season, especially with this era of Formula 1 car where it's so tough to overtake with the big tyres, lots of downforce. It's very tough to make an overtake on track, so in a way you've got to try and make those overtakes in qualifying by getting a good qualifying position. And when they were getting the the grid penalties that just kept going on top of each other over and over last year, it was always going to be tough for them to score decent points when they were starting, like 19th and 20th every single race. So for Vandoorne, I feel like he's just got to prove this year that he's close to Alonso. I don't feel like he's to beat Alonso this season to prove to anyone that he's a great driver. I personally feel he is a great driver that just needs a bit more learning in Formula 1, and I feel like he will be sort of nurtured into a very good talent and probably will be among the top teams in Formula 1 for quite a long time. But he needs things to go his way. If the car's terrible for the next couple of years, Vandoorne doesn't get his chance, he could be out of Formula 1. It's one of those sort of things like Magnussen. He was in McLaren when it was a pretty poor time for them and they struggled. He struggled to get like a loss of points, which I guess you'd expect at McLaren, and they sort of let him go in a way. So there's a big proving point, I guess you'd say, for Vandoorne this year. He needs to prove to McLaren he's good enough for Formula 1. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him, but who knows, if certain things start going his way, there could be a chance possibly Vandoorne could be shown the exit door at the end of this season if he doesn't perform this year. So I feel like there's pressure on him in a way, but not pressure on him to beat Alonso. I don't think anyone really expects him to beat Alonso unless Alonso has many more retirements this season. So I put Vandoorne to finish P11 in the championship. I don't feel like there's going to be a massive gap from like P7 down to P12 like we've been talking about in the constructors. I feel like it's going to be quite close in the top three, then there's a sort of middle three, and then the rest of the teams at the back of the grid. I feel like it's going to be quite close. So Vandoorne could be battling up there, could be just behind Alonso, but I feel like people like Ocon and maybe Sainz could maybe get in between them, Hulkenberg as well. It's going to be a very close midfield. Let me know your comments down below. As always, it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. So I think a lot of you have been sort of wondering who I'm going to put as 4th place in the Constructors' Championship for this year, and a lot of you did think it was going to be McLaren, and that is the case actually. I have put them as 4th place in the Constructors' Championship for this season. I have that feeling. I feel like both of them, both drivers are very consistent. They're very good drivers. Unless they get taken out through means sort of that's not their fault, they generally are up there battling for the position where the car should be, whether that be points or race victories. They're always sort of there. I mean, obviously Vandoorne hasn't really shown the race victory thing, but Vandoorne's been consistent throughout the last season. So I feel like they've got 2 very consistent drivers that they can rely on, and I feel like there's a pretty strong likelihood that this year's McLaren car will be good. We've seen the last couple of years on chassis tracks like Monaco, Singapore, the car's been pretty good, and Alonso probably had a chance of being on the podium in Singapore if it wasn't for being taken out at turn 1. So I think the chassis is going to be there. Probably has been there the last couple of years. We just haven't really seen it. But it's just the power unit. Once again, it's that worry. I mean, obviously Renault supply some of the big teams. Of course, they supply themselves, and then they also supply Red Bull. So there's 2 teams that are fighting near the front of the grid, or we expect to be fighting sort of near the front of the grid this season. But yeah, I'm going to put McLaren to finish 4th place in the Constructors' Championship for this year. I think there's a strong likelihood, as I said earlier on in this video, there could be a couple of podiums this year if the car suits it, but you sort of are relying on some of the big teams to sort of make a mistake here and there to be able to secure those podiums for this season. I think it's going to be maybe those top 3 teams and then a bit of a gap back to the likes of McLaren, Renault, and the rest of the midfield. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm actually recording this, as I said, on the second day of pre-season testing, and where I am right now, it's snowing quite a bit. I might have posted something on social media, I don't know. I feel like every single post on social media when it snows is literally just, it's snowing. So I don't know whether I really want to be that guy. We'll see. I like the snow though, it's cool. It makes for nice pictures, so I understand why people do it. Anyway, we've got off topic. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you've been enjoying the podcast on the channel the last couple of days. It's been getting good views and good support, which I really appreciate. So thank you once again. There'll probably be much more of those in the future. I do honestly prefer doing live videos like that, like chatty videos like this. I enjoy it, but I actually enjoy doing them more live because I like getting the interaction with you guys watching the video. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. Let me know your opinions and thoughts on McLaren Renault down in the comment section down below. Please remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new to my channel. I'll see you guys around soon. Goodbye.